They can't stop the day we dissect the news. Flipping on the edge, choices to choose. Politics and laughter, a blend that's so real. Shooting for the stories that make you feel. With guests from every angle, let's bridge the divide. Finding the truth in the humor we can't hide. The Prime Directive, where the laughter's alive. Society's reflections, let's help each other thrive. Politics and culture, oh what a blend. Join on the journey, let's set the trend.
All right, so welcome back here at Admar and whatnot. Awesome, fantastic. This is our podcast, The Prime Directive, and we have an awesome guest with us. I do have to do our special, our spiel, our intro and whatnot. Dave, would you want to read off our intro? What do you think?
That could be a new thing. Where our guests,
I can do that.
Sorry, it's kind of like, it's a little hard to see, but there we go.
I just passed my reading exam, so we'll have a test here.
Yeah, what's it say there?
Okay. A podcast with bold mission to explore this strange new world by discussing a range of topics of interest to us. We ask that you join us to listen with an open mind and look with your human eyes to thoughtfully interact and share your thoughts. We are seeking life forms willing to engage in respectful discourse. We put the civil in civilization.
Civilization, that's right.
I like that.
That's awesome, my friend. And
great
this
thing.
is Dave Spiranak. He is my neighbor. And I've gotten to know this guy over the past few years and whatnot. And he has amazing stories, and he has an incredible life biography and whatnot. And we're going to get into a conversation with him here today about all kinds of stuff. Hopefully some business, some life lessons, some prime directives that you want to guide. They're going to be like your Northern Star and whatnot.
Well, my wife will tell you that I'm a storyteller. I can sit there and get up there, and I have lots of stories about everything. It could be sports. It could be me walking into a wall, or it could be a lot of things.
Okay.
Sports, interesting. What kind of sports?
Anything. I am a sports nut. Football. I mean basketball, baseball. I played baseball.
Okay.
That was my sport. I had a brother that played. Actually, my brother played at the University of Pittsburgh and won a national championship back in 1976 with the Pittsburgh Panthers.
Wow. Pittsburgh Panthers.
He played with Tony Dorsett.
Oh yeah.
And
the Dallas Cowboy.
Yeah. Dan Marino and some guys.
Dan Marino. Wow.
Yeah. So. Back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a better athlete of the two. I played a lot of baseball.
Now, do you recommend sports for anybody watching the podcast here? Do you recommend sports to them? Why or why not?
Eric, that's a great question, and I definitely support it. And I tell parents, because they, you hear about them, they spending all this money, or they're driving kids here and there, and today everything costs money because nobody can support it. Mm-hmm. And I said, look, this is one of the things, and I will digress a lot when I talk. My dad told me when we were younger, because everybody had jobs. And seriously, I never had my first job until I was 18.
Okay.
Because I played sports in the summer, and my dad said to me, he goes, as long as you and your brother are interested in sports, and you play, and you stay out of trouble, I'm not going to force you to have a job.
Interesting.
Because sports can take you places. Sports can, and I tell families this, even if you don't make it professionally. I mean, look what the cost of education is today. Mm-hmm. If your child is good enough to even get a scholarship.
Excellent.
That's the way to go.
I mean, that's paid for your education.
Yeah.
Excellent.
No, and at the school that I teach at, I can see the athletes, the ones who are really engaged in sports, they do have to struggle sometimes to get all their work done on time, but they never struggle to get it done. They always get it done. They've got that ethic. But a lot of times they're traveling around doing hockey or baseball or whatever. But there's something about that. They're connected with a community. They seem to have a vision of I need to do this, not just for me, but I need to do this for the larger. There's a larger community and a fraternity that you engage with.
It's like anything else in life. If you take advantage, I always say this too. If somebody gives you the tools to succeed, you take them. You take every one of them and use them. My brother did that. Like I said, he played major college football, which occupied 80% of his time. But they provided them with so many tutors. And he took advantage of the tutors.
So there's a Prime Directive right there. There's one right there. If somebody gives you the tools to succeed, grab those damn tools.
Grab them.
Get out there and use those tools. Go ahead and use it. Don't be afraid to, am I going to offend somebody or whatever. Don't hesitate, right? You just jump into it and get going.
Well, you know, they had a moniker for me when I used to go to conferences when I was younger. They used to call me a thief. Because we'd go to these things.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, well, there was more names than that, but we'll start with that one.
Bastard.
And, yeah.
Harsh.
And I would walk around, you know, because I'm an accountant. And
an accountant? Get out of this house!
Nobody could believe that because they, accountants, you go. My wife would always have fun. Again, digressing, we'd go to parties. She goes, but you can't understand what my husband does for a living. And when I told them I was an accountant, and they said, not with that personality, you couldn't.
Yeah, that's funny.
I remember.
Because most accountants, right, the stereotype is they're dry.
Well, you know what? It started with my first accounting teacher. I think he almost blew snot out of his nose. He was laughing so hard. I walked into a class one day, and I don't know how much you know about accounting, and I saw two twins sitting there, and I named one LIFO and the other one FIFO, because those are two inventory places. First in, first out. Last in, last in, last out. So LIFO and FIFO. And that was an accounting term. I thought, he was going to pee his pants. So ever since that time, those twins went all through college. They hated me because everybody was calling one LIFO and the other one FIFO.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And where'd you go to college? Where did you graduate from?
Oh, boy. Graduated from Catholic University in Pittsburgh, Duquesne University.
Duquesne.
Yeah.
Okay. What would that be? What's your handle? What's the motto?
The Duquesne Dukes.
The Duke.
And it's a small Catholic university right in downtown Pittsburgh. But I went to numerous colleges. My brother always laughs. He goes, Dave can pull out more college IDs. I started at Penn State, and then I went to Pitt. Then I played baseball, went down in Florida. Then I came back up, and I finally, Pitt, Duquesne, Penn State, down in Florida, and then graduated from Duquesne.
That's excellent. Now, in which one of those colleges did you first find out that you were you had some
I was a
talents?
genius?
Well,
Yes.
well, that you had some talents for business. That you that you were. Other people quit. Other people stop. Other people don't go as far. But
well, that's a great question because I believe in that when they say you find your niche. Some people it's different for doctors and lawyers, right? You go to school, you meet a lawyer. Now I know different kinds of lawyers, different kinds of doctors, but you're in that field, right? Yeah. So I knew that I didn't want to be an accountant because of my personality. Matter of fact, my first job was a tax accountant.
A tax accountant.
And I go, oh my God, I'm going to sit here and do taxes my entire life. This
doesn't
work for me.
You're the man.
Yeah, this didn't work for me. So as I got in it, I found out that I had a knack for business, and to use a famous person that's now in our office, that he supposedly is a big deal maker, I did enjoy being in negotiations when we would do different things.
Okay.
I found out that I had a knack for being able to read financial statements. But I thought, sometimes you don't know you have a talent for something until somebody tells you, because you think if you can do it, everybody else can do it.
Interesting.
And I have people go, how'd you find those things? And I didn't see that, but I just had a knack for doing that. Then I started to like it.
Interesting.
And so where I'm at now, I'm an accountant by trade, but I do very little of that.
Right. You're a franchisee owner.
Yeah, I'm a
now.
franchisee owner.
Yeah.
And so I enjoy that. Actually, I would have loved, I always tell my wife too that I was always behind times. I wish I was younger. I would have liked to have been a Wall Street person.
Interesting. That's
An investment banker.
It's funny because that's where I feel myself. So my teaching career, I've had a 26-year career. I've got to go 3 more for my pension. There's a thing called a pension. You probably don't know what this
is
is. It's this weird device that
Starts
it pays you for the rest of your life to sit on your butt.
And that still exists?
It still exists for a relative few of us. But I have found myself increasingly like I might actually do some of the financial advice stuff. I can see myself Liesl, she'll always be like, what the hell are you watching now on YouTube, right? Because I'll be watching something with the volume all the way up, and it's like CFP stuff. It's certified financial planners.
You have the volume all the way up. And what does your wife say when you do that? My wife, we have this game.
She usually just goes like, what are you doing?
I go to the bathroom, I come back, I can't hear it, then I leave the room and
you play the volume dance, the volume 2
you do
step.
Does Liesl do that?
Yeah, but she usually goes to sleep, and then I watch something on YouTube.
So what you're saying is you drug your wife at night so you can watch TV.
Basically,
I'm glad this is on the podcast.
Basically, no, she's out. But I have found myself just getting into stocks and getting into like
it's very
Roth
interesting.
IRAs and 401ks and 529s. And
we were talking earlier. See, that's something you're like me. I was very immature. I it's kind of funny now.
You're saying I'm immature? Get out of this house!
But I wanted to be a professional baseball player, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
I see these guys now, like this Paul Skeens. You've heard of Paul Skeens? Okay, it's baseball. He won the Cy Young Award. Actually, he pitched for Air Force.
Did he really?
2 years, and he left the academy because they told him, "You don't leave the academy. You're going to serve."
And they don't know. The viewer doesn't know.
So he went to LSU, and he became a number 1 draft pick by the Pirates. In his first year, won Rookie of the Year. His second year, he won the Cy Young Award, which is the highest honor you can get as a pitcher in baseball. And he just turned 23. And I told my wife, I go,
he's 23 years old.
Yeah, I said that's why I wasn't successful. I go, at 23, I was still doing stupid stuff.
Yeah.
I was so immature at that age. I guess I digress because it was like you're saying, it relates to this. And you see the people that make it on Wall Street. Heck, a lot of these guys are retiring at 35 because there's so much pressure.
Yeah.
They've made millions and millions, and they go and do something else with their money.
Well, a lot of times they have to take some life coach lessons because they don't know what they want. They've got all this money, they've got access to all this capital, and they actually don't know what you're going to do for the next 40 years, 50 years. I saw a statistic that almost 80% of NFL players will declare bankruptcy.
That's right.
Almost 80% of these guys, 4 out of 5.
They give them all the tools. They have them educate them on who to talk to, how to invest, and they still lose money.
No, you have to kind of be.
Well, think about it. You're giving a 20-year-old kid knows nothing about business. Only thing he knows how to do is play a sport.
Sure.
And you've just handed him millions of dollars.
Yeah.
It's no different than winning the lottery if you wanted at 20 years old.
Which is also a really unfortunate statistic. The number of lottery winners who end up declaring
I was going to go there with you.
And usually they say within a decade.
Yeah.
From the moment that check is signed over, within a decade, that money is gone.
I got a funny story for you on that. I was reading about the lottery winners one time, and this guy who never wore a suit in his life, he said, won the lottery and bought, I don't know how many, I'm going to say 500. 500 of the most expensive Italian suits you can buy.
What?
Why? Because he could. And he said he never wore them. But see, that's how they lose them. They buy things like 20. I've read guys bought 20, 30 of Maseratis and Ferraris and whatnot.
But even if you did, at that particular point, I mean, you still have something that you can then sell and actually
you would think.
You would think, but
herein lies the problem, and it's out there for anybody. People now, even back then, at any time, there's scam artists. They know the people that have money, and they can drain you so fast it's not even funny.
Sure.
Actually, speaking of which, I mean, people get drained of their funds today, especially individuals who may not be aware of a lot of the scams that are that are happening, and how fast those things can escalate, and especially nowadays with AI.
Of course, it's no different, especially the elderly.
Well, so
they're lonely.
So a prime directive, another one, would be you've got to find a financial person like yourself or CFPs, certified financial planners who are by law, they are required, when you enter into an agreement with them, they are required to be your fiduciary. They are required to be your advocate, and they are required by law and by the ethics that they are employed by to actually try to do what is in the best interest for you financially. That's why you want those people. You don't want just Uncle Bill or Aunt
you've seen families.
Sally or more. The family ones are where I've seen are so sad, are such disasters. It split families apart, and because the money enters the equation and they have no idea, but then it becomes the expectation that the money comes with the siblingness of it, and it can be really ugly.
The one thing that I do not understand, however, is you do have a lot of these lottery winners, and we're talking about large sums of money in the hundreds of millions, for instance. Who on earth wins that kind of money and then is okay with retaining all of it? If I had ever won that kind of money, I would like to think that it's like, it would be, hey, anybody who's ever, known me, been my friend.
So there's Elon Musk and there's Jeff Bezos. Those guys win every hour of every day. We were doing calculations at our school about, a kid goes, how rich are these guys? I go, well, ask your AI, like, how much does Jeff Bezos make in a second? And we calculated it out. It was like $3,600 per second. Yeah. Could you imagine? Like, you get up and you're like, oh, $3,000 fell out of my pocket. Yeah. It's not even worth. Oh, another $3,000. It's not even worth. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean,
and the thing is, these guys per se aren't great businessmen, but they're idea people. That's why I told my wife, I said, I could never be that rich. I go, because I'm not a good idea guy.
Interesting.
Yeah. I can manage money, but I can't come up like the Amazon thing. I mean, that's just unreal.
Bezos didn't turn a profit, right, for a decade? Was it a decade?
Yeah, for a long
So for the first
time.
decade of the Amazon, it was originally books, remember? It was books, and there was nothing else to it. And people were like, this is going to go belly up.
You're right, because I remember reading, he responded to a Kindle reader one time, and I saw his response. And this was kind of interesting. This is Jeff Bezos. This person goes, well, I don't like the Kindle because I like the feel of the pages and the book and the whole thing. He goes, that's why. So Bezos right back, he goes, well, then why would you buy a Kindle?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you know, if you don't like an e-reader and you like a book, then, kind of.
So you're a financial expert guy. How much money do you think the average person out there watching on the interwebs, how much money does a person need to make, in your opinion, to get to a point in, say, American society where you've got your basics met, you've got some savings, right? Obviously, you've got maybe a couple years or more worth of like running liquid capital, but then you're looking into the future, and you don't worry about it. You're not obsessed about it. I mean, what would you say? What is a fair amount in modern society? A guy that we listened to named Scott Galloway, his number was 100 million, and to me that seemed way out of. I don't think you need that much.
Look by when? I mean, look at the inflationary periods, though. Yeah. What the dollar was worth. I mean, what's the dollar? If you tell a young person, here's what I would say. I don't put a number on it.
A number, okay.
Well, we need to educate the young people better to start. I was the same way. Even when I was 35, 40, I didn't have money saved. I thought I was invincible. I think, I could work till, because I know I'm going to live to at least be 100 and look like I do when I'm 35.
Right.
I mean,
we all say that. And then you turn 50 and you're like, oh shit, my neck just sounds like a bag of gravel.
And then, me always worked out and everything. And I had my surprise heart attack in 2018. And, that kind of threw a monkey wrench into things because I thought I was invincible. Ended up in a hospital, lying on a cold slab, so to speak, or operating table with the cardiologist from here and that wall, look at my wife and saying, this doesn't look good. And it's kind of funny in a way. Now it's kind of funny, but that's the only time I've really faced death that close, and I'm there looking, I didn't plan to go out this way. I'm busy. I got too much going on.
I'm busy today.
Yeah. And you don't think it.
Sorry, Grim Reaper. I've got a meeting at 10.
But I guess my point being is we need to educate people, because who thinks about it at 25 or 30?
They don't.
That I need to save for the future.
Young guys don't.
Or,
And ladies too.
You don't, because you want a house. You want toys. We all want our toys to play with, right?
Yep.
And you go, well, I don't have much left over to invest or to start. So what I would say is you just have to start early and letting your money start to compound.
Isn't that incredible?
Yes.
Compounding interest in stocks, in bonds, but mostly in stocks.
Well,
but
you know what?
It's almost like a miracle of math, right? I didn't understand this until just a few years ago, that things jump exponentially. And so they look small, but then when you're in the market for 10 years, it does the ups and the downs, but it does the ups and the downs, more ups than downs. And then you get that next decade, and it's more ups than downs, and the slope gradient is like this.
You have to know how to ride an even keel, and that's why, guys, if you want to really know how to invest, I would tell people, pick up every book you can read on Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
That guy was the master.
The Oracle of Omaha.
Yeah,
that's
the guy's a master.
Yeah.
And
it was his buddy Charlie Munger.
Yeah.
He and Charlie Munger in that, who just passed away. I think he just passed away and stuff. And they've been invested in the markets for 60, 70 years.
One thing someone told me one time, he goes, never try to live above your means.
Yeah.
In other words, if you're making a lot of money, it's not a license to spend more money, So always try to keep an even keel when you make money. Do something with it that's going to make it grow. Don't buy things or spend money on things you don't necessarily need.
Yeah. No, I like how you said it's maybe not an actual number.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just almost like a mindset. Like you have enough money that you have some freedom. You have some freedoms from.
Well, you want to have fun even when you're
young. You do.
You
You want some toys and stuff, but then there's this freedom from like, my God, what am I gonna, how am I gonna make next month's mortgage or the next week's rent?
One rule of thumb there is you always keep 6 months of what you're earning in savings. In other words, if you're making $100,000 a year, you need to have $600,000 liquid in savings.
Or 60, about 60, right? About 60 in there.
Yeah, because you need to, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, right. No, that's a good rule.
We don't need you anymore. But you suck as a teacher. We just figured that out after all these years.
And then out on your rear you go, right? Yeah. How many jobs have you gone through in your career?
Oh, gosh. Well, yes and no. Different forms of the job. Like I said, I'd be an accountant, and I'd move up the ladder and have different responsibilities, and then test the waters and find out what I was good at, what I wasn't, and I always took advantage of situations, where I, to get promoted and do different things like that.
Sure.
If I could digress, because we talked about being in sports and athletes, and this came from my brother and why he was really successful. And he says, playing a major college sport, I've lived a lifetime in 4 years.
Yeah.
And I said, what do you mean? He goes, I've been booed by 100,000 people on a football field. He goes, when I was young, he goes, if you go through everything else, he goes, you learn it.
Yeah,
which is true.
Yeah.
And he said, I played major college football in front of those kind of crowds, and you learn to mature and grow up fast.
Yeah.
So when you get out in the real world, you've had the ups and downs.
Yeah.
When you play a sport, you learn, the coach, you're on the bench one day, you're up and down. I mean, there's just so much emotional roller coaster in sports, that it teaches you, like there is in life. So you learn a lot about it through sports. That's a great way to learn about life, is to play a sport.
That's an excellent point. So one of my favorite philosophers is this ancient Stoic guy who lived in I think like the 1st or 2nd century BC.
I think I know him because we're the same age.
Right? And Epictetus was this guy's name. He's a Stoic. And his great principle of Prime Directive, very sports oriented as well as all wisdom and happiness. The whole kit and caboodle of this life, all wisdom and happiness come from figuring out what it is you can control and letting go of what you can't. And figuring out those two things, like in sports, you can practice, become the best athlete that you possibly can, but you might not be able to control that you become injured on the field, or that your team sucks and you're a great player, but the rest of the team is awful, or there's a weird coaching dynamic that doesn't work out. And so you can really only do what you can do. And if you're lucky, stars align, and you might win games and things like that.
You're right. It's a lot about luck too, and you have so many life lessons to do. I was convinced I was going to be a professional baseball player, but then because when I grew up, what's that proverbial line? I was a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah.
And then as you move up the ladder, I became a small fish in a big pond.
Yeah.
And I reached the point where I had to have a plan B.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with athletes, They play, then they go, what am I going to do for a living? But I took advantage of my education also. With scholarships, I'm taking it. Somebody's paying for my education, I'm going to get it.
Right.
And you do things like that.
Education is doorways.
Yeah.
It doesn't guarantee you that there's gold behind the door or anything like that, but it's doorways that open up and more. And then there's other doors behind those doors, right? And then you're like, oh, I can go this way or this way. Yeah.
That's another Prime Directive, isn't it? The Prime Directive is contingency plans.
Yeah. Plan B, Plan C, Plan D.
And not to waste time, but to actually have a roadmap. Kind of going back to the conversation that we had previously about if I want to go somewhere in life, or if I want to go travel, but if I want to go somewhere in life, the first thing I need to do is figure out where I am. Mm-hmm. But I also need to know that, hey, if I choose this road and that there is a roadblock, I need to be able to pivot. I need to be able to just say, well, all right, I'm just going to go ahead and take this left.
Sure.
I'm going to take this next right. If that doesn't work, I already have several different directions. Yeah. Or I could even turn around, go back. Sometimes you have to be able to reassess. You have to stay moving.
You have to stay ahead of the game.
Yeah,
that's true. I always say. My wife laughs because and it's happened a couple times where we've been stuck and made a hotel reservation and got there late, or something happened and they were booked. She goes, "Oh boy." She said, "Now what are we going to do?"
Yeah.
I said, "We're going to go to the other hotel that I booked."
Yeah, right. You just go to the other.
So you booked 2 hotels? I said, "Well, yeah, I was reading, and they said that this has happened to other people before."
Yeah.
So I had a plan B.
Yeah.
And you have to have that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. I digress because I want to digress a little bit. You're talking about learning, and this is another one of my favorite stories, and I had to teach it to my brother because when he started managing people, when I was in my late 20s, was maybe in early 30s. Well, that doesn't matter. And I had to fire somebody for the first time.
Firing somebody for the first time. Interesting.
God, I mean, I didn't sleep the whole night.
Yeah.
Guy was my mentor, and I went in his office. He goes, "I can ask you a question." And I was about 25, and he was 50. I says, "What'd you do the first time you fired somebody?" He goes, "Never fired anybody." I go, "What?" He said, "Never fired anybody." I go, "You're running this office. You've run it for almost 30 years. You never fired anybody." He goes, "Nope." So let me tell you something, Dave. He goes, "Do you know how to handle it?" He says, "This is what you do." He goes, "If you walk in, you fire somebody, you just build up their anger. Or you're fired, and then they're coming at you with," he goes, "I turn the tables on them." I go, "What do you mean?" He said, "I come into the office and I go, Bill, I'm a little confused here." He says, "I liked you." And he says, "I thought we had, a good relationship." He goes, "But I don't think you want to work here." He goes, "Well, the guy will look at you perplexed and he goes, "Why?" And I go, "Well, you haven't done this, you haven't done this, you haven't done that." He goes, "I'm guessing you choose not to want to work here anymore, so heck, I'm going to grant your wish. You can leave." And he says, you catch them off guard. And he goes, they just sit there with a blank stare. Nobody's raised their voice. And they get up with their tail between their legs and they walk out the door.
Yeah.
And I used it and it worked.
And if they do want to work there, if they really do want to work there, they'll go back and say,
That's right.
you know what, you're right, and I'm going to be better, or here's my plan to improve. And then you got a probationary period or something like that, but it's like they're on notice, right? Interesting.
Because if you go to just to fire somebody, you're feeling away. No matter how bad they are, you're attacking them, right?
Yeah,
so
sure.
Then they're
it can be traumatic and stuff. Because
yeah,
I've been through some.
Yeah, so I started using that all the time, and it's worked every time.
Yeah.
The person just like, because then they know it's their fault because you just throw everything right back at them.
I think it was Steve Jobs maybe who gave a commencement speech or something, graduation speech, and he said everybody should, in your life, everybody should get fired. At least once you should get fired, and you should fire somebody at least once. Everybody should quit a job. Everybody should lose a job that they loved. Everybody should get up and walk out of a job that you hate. You should experience those things. Everybody should experience just that breadth of what it is, what it's like to be in the world of employment and whatnot.
I think it's easy to say that when you're the CEO of Apple.
Right, and you have billions of dollars.
Exactly.
Close the chapter, let us you're here. The Prime Directive's calling, so let's pass a beer. The Prime Directive, where the laughter's alive. Society's reflections, let's help each other thrive. Politics and culture, oh.